Hello, Bianca Lee.
Hello.
How are you today?
Where should I look? Should I look at the camera?
Sure, it doesn't
Look at you.
matter.
Look at you is
Honestly,
fine.
yeah, sure.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
fine. Welcome to Hip Hop Barbells.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we're finally doing this.
Yay, me too.
Okay, so you have been DJing for quite a while now. Tell me a little bit about how you started.
Sure. So this year would actually be a decade, so 10 years. Yes. And I started kind of out of a fluke. So I was working a 9 to 5 job, and one of my girlfriends said, hey, let's create a 30 under 30 list. So like before we turn 30, let's choose 30 things we want to do. And the first thing on my list was to DJ a party. And it honestly felt like it came out of nowhere because as a kid, I obviously loved music, but I didn't really have DJ influences around me. So it just came to me. And so anyway, I learned how to DJ. I went to play a record shop when I was on Spadina, and I just walked in and I asked, actually, where was it? No, it was at Yonge and Dundas Square originally. And I walked in and I said, I want to learn how to DJ. What do I need to get started? And the person who worked there just got me a basic controller and signed me up for, I think, 3 lessons. And that's how I started. Yes.
Who taught you there?
So Craig Brooklyn, DJ Craig Brooklyn.
Oh, yes. Okay, I know about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. And then you started doing mainly clubs initially, was it? Or was it more, you did corporate as well, I remember.
Initially, I did everything. I literally did everything from bars to clubs to like private events. And I even did what's it called? A swingers lounge at one point. I was just doing like,
What's the Oasis Lounge?
it was not in Toronto. It was a little bit far, maybe.
Yeah, I remember seeing like a house music night at Oasis.
Is that a swingers club?
Yeah. 'Cause I
That
think
sounds
they're-
familiar.
Because Melanie, she used to advertise that she was DJing there.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, was it there?
It might have been. I did it once, and my friend booked me on it, and it's like, I don't think this is for me. This is a little bit. I was just so intimidated by everything. I mean, now I'm like, oh, this is great lifestyle. Do whatever you want, right? It's cool. But I think starting out, I was just so overwhelmed by everything going on, and it was just the club scene. Truthfully, was very much not for me. I did DJ a lot of parties, and that felt fun. But like the more club style events were a little bit, I don't know, it just didn't feel like me. Yeah.
Okay. Sound bowls. Okay, what first pulled you towards sound bowls and sound healing?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, of course, at that point, I had quit my job and I went full time into DJing. Of course, events kind of came to a halt during that time. And it was the first time, truthfully, I slowed down in my life. And that was really profound. And I came across this course on Insight Timer, which is a mindfulness app, and it was called Chakra Cleansing with Deep Cello. So it was a sound meditation course. I signed up for it, and it was just so profound because it was the first time I'd ever experienced music and sound in a slower context, because I was just always used to high energy dance floors and everything. And so that's where I noticed a shift in me personally, and I felt like it had helped me release so many emotions and emotionally regulate myself, and just so many benefits. And I just intuitively felt like I wanted to explore what is happening here, like what's happening in my body. And that's where I identified that there's a whole world out there called sound therapy and sound healing. And I ended up going back to school to study it formally. And then from a sound bowl perspective in school, I want to say singing bowls kind of were the foundational instrument that they taught us.
What's singing bowl?
Singing bowls. These are
Oh, okay.
called singing bowls or sound bowls. Yeah, these are called crystal singing bowls.
Oh, okay.
And so these were kind of the instrument that we were kind of taught on initially. And so I also really loved the sound because it was very simple, and just there's also been research on the benefits of using singing bowls. And then that was kind of my first instrument I started out with.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you went from DJing out, and then during the pandemic, you discovered the singing crystals. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Sorry.
crystal singing bowls. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
crystal singing bowls. And so there's obviously a different energy between the two. So how would you describe the difference between the energy of DJing and the energy of facilitating a sound session?
I would say the energy is different in the sense that one is more high energy. So when you're DJing an event, typically they want to keep the energy up. And so in comparison to a sound bath session, folks are usually looking to relax. And so the energy is much more slower tempo, much more grounding. Not to say dancing can't be grounding, but it's definitely, I would say, a bit more of a slower tempo, whereas DJing oftentimes there's just a lot going on. People are dancing, people are drinking, mingling. It's just a higher stimulating environment.
So, like, what changes do people usually experience in both their mental or emotional state when exposed to something like sound therapy?
Yeah, so I would say typically people feel calmer. They often say that they feel lighter and more relaxed. Oftentimes people will say that they're going through something really challenging, whether it's health issues or family challenges, and they just say that it's given them a sense of clarity and kind of release some anger or resentment that they've been feeling. And so it's been such a wide spectrum in terms of what people have felt after a session. Sometimes they feel more energized, sometimes they feel more tired. But I would say generally speaking, people leave feeling more relaxed and calm.
So, for yourself, though, because I know you said that DJing is a little bit more higher energy. So, do you feel personally a shift in your nervous system when you play bowls versus when you DJ?
My gosh, yes. Yes. So playing the bowls relaxes me. So even though I'm facilitating a session, I can also feel the benefits of the sound therapy. Whereas DJing, it is such a highly stimulating environment. And then, as I shared with you, I recently got diagnosed with autism. And so I did not understand why DJing was also just giving me a lot of anxiety when I was up on a stage and there were like lights and lasers kind of in my eyes and people moving around. And you probably know too, in terms of people come up and make requests and you're just multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like
Phone process
it's a lot for the
sometimes.
brain. Yeah. So definitely that is a big difference in terms of the energy levels. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. So I'm grateful that you're even bringing it up in conversation because I think especially as women, we have a lot of hormonal changes that are not discussed and how that can impact work, especially such physically demanding work as DJ, even though someone might say, oh, you're just standing there. Standing for a long period of time is really taxing on the body and your brain and everything. I mean, you're in health and you're in fitness, and you would understand that too in terms of how that would impact.
Oh yeah, and like it's just a lot to consider. You want to make sure that the crowd's having a good time. You want to make sure that things are fluid when you're mixing, and like what the next track is going to be. And sometimes there's pressure because like you want to make sure that it, like we're talking about high energy, we want to make sure that it's up here all the time. And sometimes it's hard to like manage all that when you have so much other stuff internally going on that you have no control over.
It's so true. It's so true. And it wasn't until I started to recognize the things that started to help me in terms of making sure I had a really high protein meal right before DJing a set, or making sure I had water and cutting out alcohol or cutting out caffeine right before a set. So started to see the lifestyle changes, how that helped me, but there were still moments where just the sheer level of stimulation in the environment was just too much and it just didn't feel good.
Glad that you honor yourself and doing the things that are right for you, because some people would still be pushing themselves to do something that doesn't feel like healthy or like, I don't know, safe, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, good for you.
And likewise.
Thanks, girl. I'm learning, and like it's tough because like I don't know. Might sound weird, but there's a part of me that feels a little bit ashamed that I can't like regulate how I'm feeling, and I try, but like it's tough. I'm navigating something new, and I wish I could continue on doing that, but like I have to also honor the fact that I'm not in the same phase of life, and like not everyone's gonna understand that. I don't know.
I feel you. I often think about like one thing that I can't do when I'm DJing is I noticed a lot of DJs are very animated when they're up on stage and they're like dancing while they're mixing and doing all, and I'm like, how are they doing all that? And I'm just not that persona, in the sense that I let the music speak for itself. Like, I don't need to be super animated or on the mic hyping people up. For me, my career has really been focused on song selection, reading the room, reading the crowd, and that has worked well. But yeah, like similar to what you said, I've always I wish I could be more animated and energetic and dancing, and and it's just not me. It's way too overstimulating, I think.
Shoot, I was gonna ask you a question. Are you more introverted?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay. I wonder.
Are you?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Because I used to think I was more of an extrovert, but I honestly think that when I'm around too many people for too long, because I'm a personal trainer, so sometimes if I'm training all day and talking all day, like I'm mentally exhausted. So when the weekends come, I also don't want to talk to anyone, because like that's like my time to kind of like regenerate, and it's just it's too much. So like if you add music on top of that, sometimes it's like I'm too overwhelmed and I don't recover mentally, which affects me physically.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing this interview on a Saturday.
No, it's my
you're
pleasure. This was okay. So to be honest with you, because like during the pandemic, when I was like doing a lot of reading, and when I made that decision that maybe I can't DJ for now, like it doesn't mean I'm not going to DJ for the rest of my life. Like it could be just like a for now thing. Just even learning about how the mind can manifest things in the body, and like how we should essentially take that time. We live in a very like North America or the West, I would say, we're very like work, and we live to like work, and that doesn't give us the opportunity sometimes to calm our brains, which is why you see more people being more anxious. We see a lot of like Canada in particular, we have the highest rate of IBD in the world.
What?
Yeah, so it's just like how much of that could potentially be related to lifestyle and stress, and us not being able to shut down because things are really expensive, and we're in this like mindset of we have to work. So having stuff like this, I think, is like really important. Meditation, sound therapy, like there's so many, like Reiki, all these things are, I feel like, and have been for myself, really beneficial in terms of kind of giving me that opportunity to slow down, which not everyone does. So
it's so true. And what you said is so key. I think it's just the opportunity to slow down because of such the fast-paced lifestyles we lead here, and just also just creating that space for us to exist. Like I think also maybe in our generation of just, it feels like it's go, go, go. We have so many responsibilities, and I feel like we just need to take that space to, even between tasks, like between going to the grocery store and then coming home and cooking, taking that 2 minutes just to integrate that. We're now transitioning into a different thing. Oftentimes people are just like running from meeting to meeting and task to task, and that is very dysregulating for the nervous system.
sure, we're always like up here.
Yeah.
And like, who better to connect between like DJing and like sound therapy than you?
Thank you.
Because you've seen the best of both worlds, and like you can see how they connect and how they're different. And I think that I'd like that opportunity to be able to kind of learn more about your experiences with it, because it's valuable to like for people to understand that sound isn't always up here, but we can also use it to bring us down here a little bit and woosah. So yeah. So this is a well spent Saturday for me.
Yay!
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for me to learn too.
Amazing.
So getting into performance, presence, and energy management. So DJing and sound healing demand different versions of presence. So how do you switch between them?
I would say, how do I switch between them? Okay, this is a silly example, but for instance, there was one day that I had a sound bath gig, and then an hour later had to go DJ an event. And there are certain like just simple, even just aesthetic things that I do to change into that mode. For instance, I put on some eyeliner for the DJ gig because I feel like it requires a little bit of a different identity in a way. So that was a little shift. And sometimes it's even just taking a few breaths to just kind of compartmentalize. Okay, I just had this sound bath gig, and now I'm entering this new space. It's just really giving myself a little bit of time to just get into the present moment and just recognize, like, where am I? I'm now in this restaurant. I'm now here, and just, getting present, I would say.
And like you said, you take a few breaths. So like, is there a specific grounding ritual you have for facilitating like a sound therapy session, or even when you're DJing, just to clear your mind and to like center your body more?
Yeah, so I would say breath for sure. There's two specific techniques I really love. One is called box breathing. So that is basically, if you think of a box, a square box, yes, and you basically breathe in for 4. So and then you hold for 4, and then you breathe out for 4, and then you hold for 4, and then you basically redo that pattern. So it's imagining that you're kind of breathing around this box. I like that when my mind is really active because it basically stops thoughts because you're focusing on this breathing pattern. And then if I'm feeling more anxious, I would say I would use a breathing pattern where it's breathing in for 4 counts and then breathing out for 6. Because when our exhalation is longer than our inhalation, that actually helps our nervous system calm down.
So when you're overwhelmed, so would you say that that is the technique that you typically would use? Yeah. Okay.
In a pinch, yeah. Like in a pinch and I'm overwhelmed. But if I'm, say, overwhelmed after a really hectic day, and I'm coming home, then I just want silence, I want darkness, and I want to just be still. Just basically slow the body down. Yeah.
Okay. And how does crowd energy influence you? Do you feel like you absorb it? Do you redirect it? Do you stay separate from it? How does that affect you?
It depends. I think it depends on the crowd itself. I actually get energy when people are dancing. So when people are enjoying themselves, as much as sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. No, actually, like I love seeing people dance and enjoy themselves. That gives me energy. And then I would say, what was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah. Just like how the crowd energy influences you.
Yeah.
Do you absorb it, redirect it, or can you stay separate from it?
Okay, yes. As a DJ or sound? I can't remember.
I guess for both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think then for sound, so from a DJ perspective, it gives me energy. And then honestly, I think from a DJ perspective also, if the crowd is really just boring and blah, I don't know if you feel this too, but it just kind of like, I don't say drains me, but kind of drains me a little bit. But for sound therapy, I have to definitely create a bit of a shield and boundary because people are going through a lot of stuff. Not to say they're not when I'm DJing, but it is a bit more of a vulnerable space, I find, because people often will come when they are experiencing things or they want to have it, they have an intention. So in that sense, I have to kind of keep myself separate from that.
So we're going to go on to sleep, recovery, and nervous system health.
Okay.
So late nights can throw the body off. We know this. And I know you're not really doing any kind of nighttime gigs as much as like...
Not as much as I was, but I still sometimes.
So, but when you were DJing nights, how would you restore yourself after a gig?
Honestly, I would just not book a lot of stuff the next day because I would know that my body would need time to recover. I would be very low energy. If I was drinking, I would be anxious. Usually I don't drink on the job, but early on in my career when I was DJing a lot of parties and stuff, it's part of the culture, right?
They ask you, do you want a bottle? Do you want a drink? Like, yes. You're like, okay, sure.
Yes. So I would say I would just not do or book too many things the next day, and then to recover, just like rest. Really just like give myself space, I would say, to not push myself too much.
Were you doing that before your diagnosis, or do you like did you recognize that before, like, or now that you understand a little bit more about like yourself, are you like, no, this is how it needs to be?
Oh no, more recently I've noticed that I need to give myself a day after, or at least space to not overbook. Like I'm not going to go do a million things the next day after a gig now, but before I just didn't have that awareness, and so I was just basically living in a burnout state and just not well. Like I was anxious all the time. My moods would just be all over the place.
What does deep rest look like for you? Is it beyond sleep?
Oh yeah. So deep rest for me is everything, is having good sleep and also allowing myself to slow down, allowing myself to have days where I'm not like, because I know that I'm more introverted and I need more time to recharge. Deep rest is just having days to myself where I can just be my own energy. And deep rest is also like creative time. It's like time to just create for myself and just, doing what I want. Yeah.
Okay. And how has sound healing supported your own stress levels, anxiety, or sleep quality?
Yeah, in many ways, I would say, what was it, sleep quality?
Your stress levels and
Oh, yeah.
anxiety.
Okay. So it's helped a lot. I would say I like to listen to various frequencies to help with, let's say, if I'm feeling a lot of fear or a lot of stress, there are certain frequencies that can help with supporting that emotion and like releasing it a bit. And we can talk a little bit about that. But that has helped me specifically. It's 396 hertz, which is a frequency I really like to listen to when I'm feeling overwhelmed. From a sleep perspective, I'll just give my little plug here. So I did these sound baths for this company called Hatch. So they do these sleep clocks or these alarm clocks that make light so that you can wake up with the sun or whatever. So there are these sleep clocks. Anyway, I have a couple sound bath channels in this product with them. So I would listen to that at night to fall asleep, and it helps. Like I just feel as though I'm more rested. And also just I use sound baths when I'm feeling like I need energy. So one of the things when I was cleaning up my hormones was I got rid of caffeine. So I only drink decaf every so often now. But I find listening to a 15-minute sound bath, I joke and I say it's like my little espresso shot. It actually gives me energy because it allows my nervous system to kind of come back to its baseline.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. I've never heard that before. I might have to invest in a Hatch clock.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're cool because it's almost like my nightly ritual now where have you heard of ASMR? So there's a really cool ASMR channel I like to listen to, or I really like listening to like crackle of fire. Different sounds. So I have a nightly routine where I'm just listening to these sounds before bed. It just puts me right to sleep. And then even waking up, it's like a really soothing alarm clock, but there's the light that helps you kind of bring in that light into waking up. Yeah.
Amazing. That's like natural.
It's natural. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get into mood, creativity, and emotional wellness.
Okay.
Does your creative process change when you're mentally drained versus when you're grounded?
Oh my gosh, yes. When I'm drained, I feel like I just don't have the focus and energy to create. Yeah, I just don't have the energy to create. And then when I'm rested, I feel like I'm just more regulated and able to stick to a plan and say, okay, let's take an hour to just make something today, to produce something. So it definitely affects my creative process.
So sound bowls, would you say that helps with you tapping into creativity or emotional clarity?
Yeah, definitely both. I would say the singing bowls gives the baby in the background. It's so funny. So I would say the singing bowls, yeah, it just creates a bit of space for me to become clear. I guess they're kind of intertwined. So the singing bowls helps me relax, helps me feel more calm, more open to just receiving downloads. I find when I'm relaxed, I have more ideas. When I'm rested, I have more ideas. When I'm on a walk, I have ideas. So I think there's a pattern of relaxation and almost, what's the word? Just kind of passive relaxation. Yeah, it's like, is that it? But you know what I'm trying to say is like going for a walk is not intense, but it's still movement. So it's still kind of passive movement, relaxing movement, something like that. Or when I'm washing
it's active recovery. So maybe that's like the same sort of idea.
Or like washing the dishes. I can't,
but you like that?
Oh, I mean, I don't like it, but when I do it, for some reason, I have ideas. When I'm taking a shower, there's a term for it when you're in this passive state and you're kind of in an automatic state, but it creates space for your mind just to open.
Okay. Now you got me thinking, like, when am I?
When do you have creative ideas?
I don't even know. I'm not even aware of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in a passive state. I have so many ideas. I don't know. Yeah. But sometimes they just come and go. But no, now I'm going to be so much more
curious. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious when you get them. Maybe it is like when you're, I don't know if it's like when you're training or when you are, like, I'm just curious, like, when do you get ideas?
I definitely don't think when I'm working, definitely not, because I'm focused,
you're focused.
On the client.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think when I'm when I'm training myself, like when I'm working out. I'm trying to think now, like, when does it happen? Maybe on my drive, actually. You know what? That might be it. When I'm driving to or from work.
Yeah.
Especially if there's, like, I love like instrumentals. So if I have like an instrumental in the background, like that, maybe it has something to do with my brain just calming down a little bit and having that opportunity to
Totally.
like you said, download. So
Yeah.
when I have something like a Mad Lib or a J Dilla instrumental playing in the background, maybe that's when that information is coming down for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
It's like flow state. It's like kind of you're entering your flow state in a way. In a way.
I'm going to be so much more aware of that now that you've said that, because I've never thought about that.
Keep me posted. I'm curious.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
Cool. I like that.
Cool.
I've never thought about that before.
That's
Like,
amazing.
How did I come up with this idea? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I think you'll start to recognize where you're like, oh, I was doing this, or I was in this, or I was like more rested today, or I don't know. Like you might see that there's patterns, and it's not always perfect, but I do notice there's certain things I do where I'm like, oh, yeah.
I definitely need, so this is my issue, is that like I have adrenal issues. So it's just like I definitely need to like have more time to regulate. Like I just need to woosah a little bit more so
Yes.
that my adrenals can function a little bit more better, so that I can maybe have more of that connection of when things are happening. What do you notice in your mood when your nervous system is balanced versus dysregulated?
So when my nervous system is regulated, I find that I trust myself. I am clear. I am just more courageous and confident, I would say. And then when I'm dysregulated, I'm just anxious and I have a lot more fear. And I just
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and I just feel like, not that I can't trust myself, but I'm catastrophizing. Like I'm just always thinking about, oh my gosh, like what's worrying. I think a lot more in that state.
Ditto.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Definitely. Same. You touched on your nutrition and how you cleaned it up based off of what was going on with your physical health. So how would you keep your energy ready on long days with late nights when you were DJing nights? Is it like, how much has your nutrition kind of shifted from how you were eating then to kind of sustain yourself to now, sort of thing?
Yeah. So I would say it was during the pandemic when I started to really pay attention to my diet, because before I was not paying attention to if I was eating or what I was eating, putting in my body. And that would definitely contribute to my blood sugar being all over the place and feeling faint if I hadn't eaten and just feeling off all the time. And I feel like now that I understand, say, having proteins, fats, and like complex carb is a good combination for me in terms of, like, example, having chicken and some veggies and some like brown rice or something like that. That's a good meal for me, or that helps me feel grounded and able and long and like just able to, it's sustainable. Like it feels more sustained. It sustains my energy more.
And like when you have like a gig, whether it's like with sound therapy or with like DJing, how do you fuel yourself? Do you fuel yourself before these gigs?
So it's interesting because with sound therapy, I actually don't like eating meat before a gig or an event or a session. My body craves more plant-based foods. And with DJing, I feel like it's the opposite. I need meat. I need complex carb, fat. Like I need something that can sustain me longer. So I guess that would be the difference.
So you feel like you need lighter foods before sound therapy, and then heavier meals before? Or not
Yes.
heavier, but like something that's going to be, because like protein is supposed to sustain you for a lot longer.
Yes.
So maybe the amount of energy that you're having to expend for your DJ gigs, do you feel like that
Totally.
it's greater than it is for
Oh,
sound?
100%.
Yeah.
Because you're standing, right? You're standing, there's movement, you're lifting a lot of heavy gear and stuff. And so I think there's definitely, you're expending more energy DJing. And so that's why I feel I need a more heavier kind of protein dense meal. Whereas with sound therapy, actually, I will have a heavier meal after. But before I still, there's always protein, because as women, as we get older, we need the protein.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's always protein, but I would say I'd probably wait to have fish or meat until after the gig. Yeah.
And when it comes to hydration before gigs, whether it's sound therapy or DJing, how do you do that?
Now I'm just so basic. It's just water. And I was I was going to say traumatized, but that's a very strong word. I was really scarred recently because I DJ'd a gig and I was only drinking sparkling water. And I don't know if there's some difference in it or something. Maybe you will know this, but it's such a migraine the next day. I did have a glass of Prosecco or something, so I don't know if it was just because my body hasn't been used to alcohol,
Yeah.
but I was just out of it. But I think now I'm basic, just water. I just want to drink lots of water, make sure I'm hydrated before, hydrating during, and after, because there's something that happens where I don't know if it's just become dehydrated during a set, not really sweating, but there's something that happens energetically I just feel like I need more water during it. Do you feel like that?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It depends. Like sometimes, like if I've had an already mentally draining week and I go in, because sometimes it's not even if I'm physically drained, but if I'm already mentally drained going in and feeling a little bit stressed or overwhelmed, then I'll feel more dehydrated.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah. Rest is so important, and I'm very bad at it.
Do you find your sleep has changed?
Totally. So since I started on progesterone, it's improved my sleep. I used to have sleep where I was aware that my eyes were closed, but I was also aware that I was not sleeping.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, I have 1 more hour. An hour's probably passed. Like, who knows how much time's left? I'd be having like this like conversation with myself, and it's just like, I wish I were sleeping right now, but it's not happening, and it's really annoying.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was affecting so much. And then I started to have really bad brain fog when people would talk to me, and I'd be like, I don't know what they're saying to me right now. Or sometimes I'd be with a client that I've had for 7 years, and I'd be like, I don't know this person's name right now. I don't know what's happening to me.
That is so
I hate being
interesting.
alone sometimes.
That
Why is this
so
happening to me?
Interesting.
Yeah, and then to have a doctor tell me I'm not going through perimenopause, I'm like, something is happening to me. I don't know what it is, but something is happening. Yeah.
I think not the one good thing about social media, I will say that I think a lot of people are now bringing light to these things that are happening. So I've read a lot of women who are going through perimenopause and have brain fog. It's just such a typical thing, I think, that women go through. So even you saying that, it's like so many other people are going through that.
And then we're told it's nothing.
But you're told it's nothing, exactly.
No, it's not nothing. Don't tell me
Yeah.
this is not normal. I was not like this before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ability to like maintain information was really difficult. But yeah, thank God for hormones. Okay, so going into movement, embodiment, and longevity. So what kinds of movement help you feel grounded or emotionally lighter?
Ooh. Have you ever tried yin style yoga?
Yes, that's all I do.
Okay, so that's my answer.
Okay, and my goal for 2026 is to go every single Sunday and do an hour of yin yoga.
That's amazing.
So that's actually on my bingo list.
That's
bingo card.
amazing. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you know already the benefits, but if folks are new to yin style yoga, essentially you are holding poses for prolonged periods of time. It is slower, so it's not about building strength. It's about literally allowing yourself to soften into your body. And it's such a powerful way to help tap into your emotions and stuck emotions, I would say specifically. So if you're dealing with any type of challenging situation or emotion, I feel like it's so beneficial to just slow the body down and hold poses and try to practice that style, because it's incredible. It's challenging, but it's incredible.
It's my favorite kind of yoga.
Yay.
It's the only yoga I do.
Oh my gosh.
Because I feel stressed with the other yogas, believe it or not.
Same.
It's so silly.
Same.
I thought it was
Same.
just me.
No.
Okay, so how do you explain the science or philosophy behind sound healing to someone who has never experienced it before?
Okay, so I would say what would be important to understand when it comes to sound healing or sound therapy is that our brain will operate in different states based on what we're doing throughout the day. So if someone has never heard of sound therapy or sound healing, what I would say is first that sound healing has been a modality that has been around for thousands and thousands of years and has been practiced in community where basically people will use the power of sound to feel benefits in their mind, body, and soul. From a scientific perspective, there's a process called brainwave entrainment that happens when we're listening to certain sounds or frequencies. So what that means is basically our brain waves sync up to the frequencies of the sound. So if we are in a more anxious state, then what happens is the slower frequencies of the sound we're listening to will essentially align and sync up to our brainwaves. So it will slow down our brainwaves and move us into a more passive, relaxed state. So ultimately, sound has the ability to shift us into different brain states. I think, and as I was mentioning a little earlier, is that we have different brain states based on what we're doing and how we're feeling during the day. So there's 5 main brain states: gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And these are basically how our brain kind of moves in between different states based on what we're doing. So for sleeping, we're in a delta state. And so it just kind of depends on what we're doing. And so we can actively shift our brain state by listening to certain frequencies and certain sound therapy techniques.
And like, what benefits have you personally seen in your clients?
I have seen, I would say relaxation is probably the most common, but I've seen so many things like emotional release, where if someone is going through grief and it helps them to really regulate their emotions. I've seen relaxation, I've seen calm, I've seen just stress reduction in general, anxiety reduction. Someone has anger, that can help also regulate them. So I would say overall, just relaxation and emotional regulation is really kind of like the 2 main things I've seen.
And then for artists and DJs, if they use sound healing practices, how can that be used essentially to help manage burnout?
I would say sound healing can be used to help them slow down. Really listening to, say, a sound bath track or certain frequencies is already such a different energy than DJing. So allowing themselves to, say, lie down, or even if they're sitting up, but they're just still and they're allowing themselves to listen to these sounds intentionally can really help actually reduce anxiety. There's research around that too. Listening to certain frequencies can actually help significantly decrease anxiety. And I would say, yeah, starting there is like just like slowing the body down.
Now moving into music identity and inspiration, how does your identity as a DJ influence your work as a sound healer and vice versa?
I would say they are definitely interconnected in the sense that being a DJ first helped me understand music and develop my ear. Also, I just coming into sound healing, these bowls have different notes. And it's interesting because as a DJ, I like to mix in key. So I like to kind of harmonically think about how I'm mixing. And sound healing for me is a lot about harmony. And so that has really helped me in terms of just developing my ear, I would say. And then from an identity perspective, just being able to read energy, like read the room. It's funny because reading the dance floor has helped me also just read my audience when it comes to if I'm facilitating a sound bath, or it's just helped me kind of relate and connect with people in a certain way too.
Are there artists who inspire your approach to wellness healing or mindful creativity?
Yes, I would say so. The Wong Janice was the cellist who I discovered during the pandemic, who really, I would say, catapulted my interest in sound healing. So she's a cellist, but uses cello in an ambient way, in a meditative way. So that really opened my eyes to using music in a meditative environment. And then I would say another one would be Brian Eno. So he's kind of the father of ambient music, and his approach to creativity is really interesting and playful and really embracing curiosity and creating. And I would say definitely influences me. And the last one I'll say is Max Richter, who's a neoclassical artist, and he does also kind of this crossover of classical ambient music. And he's innovative in the sense that he does these sleepover tours where he sets up all these beds and people come in and sleep over while they're listening to him play overnight. So he has these like sleep tours, which are super cool. So I love seeing artists doing things that are a little bit outside of the box. It inspires me to stay kind of fresh, I guess.
Yeah. That's amazing. Sorry, what's his name?
Max Richter.
Okay, I'm going to look him up.
Yeah, he's really, really cool.
That's cool. And do you feel like the music industry is becoming more open to wellness and mind-body care? Especially as of late? Like, I don't know.
I would say, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this too. I would say yes and no. I think it comes in and out. So, I mean, the fact that you have this channel and platform and podcast is so important that you're touching into wellness and mental health. Though I think it can definitely be talked about more, because when we see these mainstream artists, we don't always know what they're going through. And I've always said, I'm like, I would love to just get into Drake's mind and know how he's mentally feeling, because it seems like these bigger artists, there's obviously tabloids and gossip, but it would be so cool if we can actually hear from them in terms of how they're mentally doing, because I feel as though we have a misconception of fame, and we think fame is really amazing and great and people strive for it and people want the likes and follows, but that comes with a lot. Like, I think it comes with a lot of things we're not prepared for in terms of our nervous system and stress levels and anxiety and pressures. And I wish that was talked about more. I also live under a rock sometimes, so maybe this is already talked about. And maybe, what do you think? Is it?
I don't know. I feel like, especially with me starting this, I think the one thing I can recognize is a lot of the people who have been doing this for a long time maybe have shifted into more like focusing on their physical and their mental wellness. Everyone's still learning.
It's so true.
And we never stop learning. And when you're first in there, you do things maybe you are not really connected with. And as you age in the industry, you probably are more set on like, actually, that doesn't work for me anymore.
Yes. Yeah. Wisdom. We gain the wisdom.
Yeah. And we're always learning. So
yeah.
So if a DJ or a musician is burnt out, overwhelmed, or disconnected from themselves, where should they start?
Slowing down.
Okay.
I think that is the number one thing, is find ways to slow down, whether that is with music or sound, whether that's just doing less if they can. But I would say finding ways to slow down, if it's yin yoga, finding ways to slow the body down, I think is so underrated and so profound.
And what is one grounding practice any artist can do before a performance, even if they only have 2 minutes?
I would say breathing.
Right.
It's going back to that breathing. So either the box breathing technique or 4-6 breath, which is breathing in for 4 counts and breathing out for 6 counts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And what are 5 songs you would recommend people listen to when they train for any genre?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I wrote it down. I might have to see if I remember them.
Okay.
But I wrote them. Can I just take a quick peek? Thank you. Should I look at this?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for training, I would say Sock It To Me by Missy Elliott.
Okay, yeah, good track.
Feisty, which is a newer Fred Again song with, I don't know her name is, if it's Bia or B-I-A. It's B-I-A is how you spell her name.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know.
You know what I'm
I've heard
talking about?
I've heard it both.
Bia, or anyway, it's called Feisty. It's good.
Okay.
I would say Winter 1 by Max Richter, which is a Vivaldi track that he's recomposed. So it just has really intense energy. It's neoclassical, but it's like so good. Beyond Beliefs, which is by Ben Bomer. He's an electronic music artist, and it's really a great flow state track. I would say I like listening to it if I'm on the rower or if I'm doing cardio. And then I know Drake is controversial, but his song Make Me Proud is one, I think that's because maybe it's from my like younger going out days, but just even the lyrics, it's just like, I'm so proud of you or something like that. And it's just like, yes, yeah, it's good.
It's what makes you move.
Yes.
And what you recommend. Which it's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So tell us where we can reach you.
Okay. So right now you can reach me at with Bianca Lee on Instagram. I would say that's the best way to stay connected with me. And I have a new venture that I'll be launching soon, but that will be released on my Instagram. So I would say Instagram is the best way. My website's also with Bianca Lee. Same with LinkedIn. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yay.